One.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Of course, the classic theme tune to MASH, and that previews something that we will be talking about very shortly with Vaughn Davis at tgf.co.nz, thegoatfarm.co.nz. Vaughn Davis for the advertising, social media and aeroplanes feature. G'day.
Hey, how are you?
Nice, very well, thank you very much. Good to see you.
Yeah.
First up in advertising, what are we looking at?
Well, a couple of things happening in advertising. Should we talk about a good thing first?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, good thing first. A really cool new website, and I didn't know about this until Whittaker's Chocolate tweeted the other day that if you tell us a couple of things, I think where do our cocoa beans come from? We will send you a website chocolate block. I thought, what the hell's that? So I went to the website, and it turns out their website's made of chocolate. So if you go to whittakers.co.nz, you've just got to, it's
scratch and sniff.
Yeah, well, not quite. That'd be cool. That'll be a 1st of April sort of chocolate flavour. But what they've done is built a chocolate mould, however you do that, to make all the buttons and things on the website, poured it with chocolate, actual chocolate, photographed the thing or scanned it in or whatever, and that's their website. And when you hit the buttons, it sort of makes little chocolatey noises and moves around.
So it would look in a way that sort of graphics or something that you created would not.
Yeah, but the cool thing is because they had to make this mould anyway. The chocolate website exists, so it's available in chocolate. I'm not sure if it's available in stores, but it's certainly available to.
Where would you give? Down at the Whittaker's factory or something?
Well, ask nicely on Twitter. Yeah, Whittaker's at Whittaker's on Twitter. Ask them nicely for a chocolate website.
And to the bad, here we go. This ad here from Genesis.
Our Canterbury neighbours still need our help. You can lend a hand for the day by taking part in the Neighbourhood Muck-In and join our volunteers flying to Christchurch. Just visit genesisenergy.co.nz.
So, something feels wrong calling something bad that's for a
Oh,
charity.
I know. I'm a bastard. Vaughn the bastard. No, this it sort of gets me. It gets me wondering, and the more I think about it, the more I think maybe it wasn't quite the right move. So what's happening here is Genesis, which is a state-owned enterprise, and we'll return to that, is offering, I think, 4 or 5 plane loads of its customers, or anyone, in fact, anyone can muck in, the opportunity to fly down to Christchurch. So you fly down in the morning, you spend a day shoveling silt or pouring cups of tea for old ladies or whatever, and you fly back in the evening, which is all very lovely, and I'm sure everyone who goes down is going to feel nice inside. But they've spent a hell of a lot of money advertising it, so it's big online, it's big on the newspaper, it's big on TV.
I've seen it used as pre-rolls.
It's all over the place.
Videos,
and I'm wondering really, the ratio of actual benefit to Christchurch for effort involved. By the time you get down there and get into town and do your work and have your lunch, it's time to get back on the plane. And at the end of the day, it's an SOE as well. So this is.
Does it feel quite gimmicky?
It feels really gimmicky, and I just wish that if they'd done it, I just wish they'd gone ahead and done it and let us find out about it and let people talk about how great it was, rather than investing all this money in advertising it. So I don't know, it just leaves me feeling a little bit uncomfortable, and I'm sure someone from Genesis or its advertising agency will have a very different perspective. Maybe I've missed the point, but for me it seems if you really want to help Christchurch out, write them a big bloody cheque. They don't actually, their crying need is not for
money,
400 Aucklanders or Dunedinites or Hamiltonians for 6 hours on a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's
my opinion,
it's like for many disasters around the world, the last thing you need is cuddly toys and
clothes.
Generally it's
or
money.
A bloody twibbon. Putting a little a graphic on your Twitter avatar is not going to help the return serviceman.
Oh, you cynical man, you.
Warm. I am a return serviceman. I don't know, it burns my hump. Give money. Money or do something.
Let's move on to social media. We're looking at politics and Twitter.
Yeah, politics and Twitter. Because it's election year, so it's going to be really interesting. It's our first Twitter election, I guess you could say, really. 2 cardinal rules of Twitter: be useful, be interesting. Politicians, problem is that it's pretty hard for them to be useful, so all that's left them to do on Twitter is be interesting, and we've got some interesting people on Twitter. The question is, are they real? There's three types of politicians on Twitter. There's the fake, which is the patently parody account. So we've got it. There's a John Key. There's a Dr. Brash has popped up recently,
which is very good. Yeah.
There's the real fake, which is the major party leaders who are not actually tweeting for themselves, and this was exposed last week.
Okay, yeah, John Key definitely isn't.
Well, John Key, 4:30 in the morning, says what he's doing in London. Everyone's going, "Woot woot! You must be partying." But actually, this was because his Twitter was being done back in New Zealand by someone who wasn't really thinking about it.
I'm unsure about Phil Goff's.
I think Phil Goff's a fakey. Phil Goff's gone quiet.
It could be his press secretary.
I don't think he's a fake. I think it's a staff one, a real fake, if you like. And then in the middle, you got the real, which people like Claire Curran. She's interesting, earnest and interesting, and always got something good to say. Trevor Mallard, I'm not sure. He's just too interesting to be real.
I haven't seen this.
Yeah, Trevor Mallard and Tauhenere have some pretty cool dialogues on Twitter.
Tauhenere, if he's real, he's spending far too much time, I think.
Or is he just engaging with the constituency in a new way? It's an interesting insight. The problem is, of course, the further up the chain, the more relevant and powerful you become, the less free you can become about what you say on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because suddenly, if the Prime Minister's saying stuff, it's policy.
Yeah. It's the backbenchers that are really owning it.
Yeah, the backbenchers and the independents.
Yeah.
They've got the freedom to say whatever the hell they want.
Talking about that, 2 weeks ago, of course, the copyright legislation was forced through, ran through late into the evening. I was at work, working late. I was trying to work on editing a video, but I was far too distracted by watching Parliament TV and Twitter.
Watching the back channel.
And then being part of it, and then seeing the Twitter feed and conversation creeping its way into the debating chamber through Claire Curran and Gareth Hughes as well. And I just suddenly felt like, wow, this is a real step change here.
Yeah. It's there's two things going on there. Firstly, it's uniting people around a live event. And everyone said, with digital video recorders and stuff like that, it'll be the death of live TV programming. But what Twitter has done is brought back the idea of watching something as it happens. Because if you don't watch it as it happens, you can't engage with the other people who are watching.
Indeed.
And that's really cool for broadcasters. It's really interesting. And the second thing, it's live participative democracy. That's pretty neat.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
And the Onion have something to say about.
Yeah, well, I met a guy at that South by Southwest conference I was at recently, who was a writer for the Onion. And he said the magic of the Onion is that it reports in a real way about an imaginary world. So it takes itself very seriously. And if you have 4 minutes free today, I would Google Onion Facebook CIA. And it's basically a story about how the CIA is celebrating their Facebook project, as they call it, with Special Agent Zuckerberg, because it's put their costs through the floor of actually finding out where people are, what they're doing, are they in a relationship, where they're going to be next week, all that sort of stuff, because people are giving it away. It's very, very insightful and funny.
I've always suspected.
Yeah.
On to the aeroplane feature. It wouldn't be this feature without some aeroplanes, or, in this case, helicopters.
Yeah, not really aeroplanes. I think in the Navy they used to say the difference between a ship and a boat is a boat can be carried on a ship, and same with aeroplanes and helicopters. And we used to carry helicopters in the back of our aeroplane. So
you did in the
Hercules,
so
Hercules. Helicopters aren't airplanes. Yep. But two interesting helicopter things going on in the Air Force at the moment. The first one is the Augusta 109, which is the replacement for the dear old Sioux, 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 which older viewers will remember was the helicopter in the opening credits of MASH.
Indeed. So that's how old it is.
That's exactly how old it is.
Was it actually conceived in the 40s or 50s?
I think early 50s. I'd have to check. We had Korean War was in the 1950s, so we had ours from the 1960s.
Yeah.
And they're the same ones that they still fly on. I mean, they're great old airplanes. They're beautiful. They have piston engine and everything's very rudimentary. It makes you a good pilot. Them. And everything's manual.
Even though they're so damn old, there's something futuristic about the bubble canopy.
It belongs in Lost in Space, which I guess was also a product of the 50s and 60s. But goodbye Sioux and hello Augusta 109.
So is the Augusta 109 any good?
The Augusta 109 is pretty good. It's pretty flash. Should be flying, if it hasn't already, this week in Ahakia. What's not so good, and I'm reading a lot about this, is the big helicopter. Now, a lot of talk about John Key riding the Iroquois quite a lot.
Yeah.
If he's still Prime Minister in a year's time, he'll be riding the replacement.
Far less cool.
far less cool, the NH90, which even doesn't sound like, what the hell's an NH90?
There is-
Sounds like a form you fill in.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Fill in an
Oh,
NH90.
damn, I'm going to get in the NH90. There's something about the whoop, 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 whoop of the Iroquois. And that is, I don't know if you know this, but that's the end of the rotors breaking the sound barrier.
That's what they say. That's the man in the pub aerodynamics.
Is it?
But, well, no, I mean, it may well be true, but I don't know.
That's what my dad used to say.
Yeah, I'm not interested enough in helicopters to know. But I'm reading a lot. The NH90, the Swedes, they're cancelling their contract because they've come too late.
Yeah.
The Dutch, they ordered a bunch, but they turned out to be too heavy, so they couldn't put them on their frigates. And they're too small and wussy for the Germans. They keep breaking them.
So it sounds like we're getting a lemon. Didn't this happen with the army with their
the labs? The labs. Yeah, well, it depends on. I mean,
and our frigates.
Any defence procurement is controversial, but often we get it right. We bought the Hercules and the Orions in the 1960s, and they're still going.
They're still going.
So yeah,
and the Skyhawks would still be going as well.
They would still be going. Have you put in a bid?
Oh, but what are we looking at?
Well, I don't know. There's a parcel of 11 of them, I think, for sale
With all the spare parts and spare engines.
Spare parts.
Apparently, if you had the cash, you could get them up and going.
Well, you could. You'd have no avionics because they'd strip out a lot of that. A lot of the electrics. So you need to replace those.
Here's the thing: so whoever buys them has to have a pass from the American military, from the American government. And that was the problem in the first place of selling them in the first place.
But they'll just strip out all the sensitive bits and they'll sell them as junk, which is a terrible thing.
Stink. I would want to see the warbirds flying them or something.
Yeah, they're expensive things to fly, but cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Hey, thanks, Vaughn.
Thank you.
We'll see you at tgf.co.nz. Oh, actually, just before we go,
what are you doing?
some feedback. Claire Curran says...
Oh, no.
Trevor Mallard is himself on Twitter. Nobody could pretend to be him and get away.
Oh, that's great. Oh, good on you. Thanks, Claire.
And she said, I'm not earnest all the time. Sometimes I get cranky and sometimes whimsical.
She's mostly earnest, but occasionally drunk.
Thanks very much, Claire, for the feedback.